Making Rogue North requires a lot of drawing to help create that convincing Canadian setting. Lots of rocks, trees, and buildings. But one trick to make a fake Canada feel real is by having lots of different vehicles here and there. Vehicles placed where they make sense go a long way to make areas interesting. But there's a problem. Lots of cars means lots of drawing. And what if I want to have one face an odd direction? Maybe they should all be able to face odd directions. That's the conclusion I came to when sprite stacking was first introduced to me. So today I'm going to be talking about turning sprites into fake 3D models using a technique called sprite stacking. So what is sprite stacking? Sprite stacking is the process of taking a strip of images, sprites, and layering them on top of each other with a small gap in between. In Engine, we can stretch, skew, and rotate the sprites to give them the impression of being a 3D object sitting in the game world. This script by AVIS makes the Engine side of sprite stacking very straightforward. I'll have it linked in the description. This isn't a 3D model, but it gives the impression of 3 dimensions, which is perfect for vehicles, and removes the need to draw vehicles many different times at slightly varying angles just to have a bit of visual variety. Alright, sounds pretty simple. And for the most part it is. That is, unless you do it the way I used to do it, the old-fashioned way. Drawing one layer at a time in Piskel, exporting the sprite sheet, and importing it into GameMaker whenever I needed to see how it looked. Don't do this, it's unreasonably tedious, which is why I use MagicaVoxel now. MagicaVoxel is a simple, free-to-use voxel art program that is incredibly intuitive, with very few buttons and tools needed to make just about anything. It also exports models as a sprite sheet, which is why it's the only voxel program I know of that lets you make sprite stacks. I'm not being paid to say any of this, it's just good. And it kinda goes without saying, but one of the best things about it is the ability to view your model from any angle. So you might be thinking, why didn't you just use this earlier? And well, I opened it once about a year ago and I didn't understand it immediately, so I closed it and I never opened it again. It was only recently that I gave it another shot, and it's deceptively simple to use for someone who has never touched Blender, or any CAD programs. So I spent some time learning the program. First I tried recreating the Merc combat truck one layer at a time, which was not ideal. After that was updated, I spent a full day trying to find a program that could convert my existing sprite sheets into MagicaVoxel models. Eventually I came across some software called Sprite Stack, which advertised the ability to do exactly what I needed. But funny enough, that functionality hasn't worked for more than a year. So the solution? Turn my sprite sheets into individual sprites, then drag and drop them one at a time into Magica. From then on, it was super easy to import the current vehicles and give them much needed makeovers to bring them up to the new standard. One thing that increased my efficiency when making the vehicles was by making a simple van to use as somewhat of a base, to standardize things like wheel dimensions and door sizes. Then I went absolutely bonkers and created about 10 new vehicles in a week. It was pretty addicting, although exhausting, to create so many models, especially since it only took a few hours to make a car instead of 3 to 4 days. However, sprite stacking isn't perfect. One of the downsides to sprite stacks is performance. Drawing things to the screen in GameMaker is as slow as it is easy. So we made the stacks only update if the vehicle has rotated. Otherwise it uses a stored image of what it looked like before it rotated. That way, we only truly draw the sprite stack when we need to, instead of drawing every single slice of the stack every single frame. The ease of creating brand new vehicles opens up a ton of possibilities to make the world of Rogue North feel alive, and to enhance the variation and theming of the game's levels, while finally moving away from putting shipping containers in nonsensical places, just for the sake of cover. Flipped trucks, destroyed tanks, burnt car wrecks, and vehicles that fit their location will all contribute to making Rogue North's world more immersive and enveloping. Even if you're not working on a game, making models in Magica is pretty fun, plus you can make teardown mods, which is pretty cool. Anyway, that's all I wanted to share. Don't forget to wishlist Rogue North, and I'll see you next time.